Good day, everyone. I'm Ivan, the moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone to today's webinar, How to Transition from Classic CSV to CSA, Improve Both Compliance and Efficiency. I want to introduce our presenter for today, Caroline Traiona. Caroline Traiona has more than 45 years of experience in the pharmaceutical, medical device, tobacco, and other FDA-regulated industries. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Caroline.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Carolyn Troiano, and we're going to be talking about how to transition from that classic computer system validation approach to a computer software assurance, CSA approach, in order to improve your compliance and efficiency. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk a little bit about FDA regulatory oversight, validation, then we'll get into with validation planning, testing, documentation, and maintenance. And we'll talk about CSA. We'll then go to the transition from CSV to CSA. GAMP 5-second alignment with CSA. We'll touch on data, Part 11 compliance for electronic records and signatures and data integrity compliance. And we'll talk about some industry best practices and how to avoid common mistakes. We'll finalize that with a Q&A, and there is an appendix that shows a Labware LIMS example for the transition if you're interested in doing that. So everything's based on predicate rules, the GXPs, where X is a variable. If you have manufacturing, laboratory, clinical operations, and they are regulated by FDA, your data and your systems are FDA regulated. So size and complexity when you develop your approach and your plan are subjective, but you're really using them to gauge resources and time. System business criticality, GAMP 5 category, and risk assessment are also to be included. These 5 things have to be explained in your validation plan. CSA, computer software assurance. This is a risk-based approach like CSV to ensure software is compliant with FDA requirements for validation. But FDA is now recommending this CSA approach over the traditional CSV approach. CSA was finalized as a guidance in September of 2025, but only for medical device manufacturing and quality testing functions. A draft was issued in September of 2022, but the only final guidance is for a specific segment of industry, medical device. Other life science industries and operational areas are still held to the CSV requirement. So what it focuses on, CSA focuses on a risk-based analysis using critical thinking, making sure software is fit for intended purposes. Goal is to reduce the burden of validation while being compliant. Look at the comparison. With CSV, we start with documentation. Documentation drives everything. We end up with a lot of deliverables, but we end up also doing things by rote, one document at a time. And if we have the complete set, we check off all the boxes, we say we're done. If we look at the approach CSV procedural, one size fits all, test everything to the same degree. CSA, it's a risk-based, critical thinking approach. So if we look at the philosophy, CSV, validate everything the same way. CSA, scale the testing based on risk and intended use. CSA transition, using an SOP and a risk evidence toolkit. Practical regulator live roadmap, moving from classic CSV to CSA while staying tight with Part 11 and data integrity. So 12-step transition plan is what's recommended, going from CSV to CSA. Now, ISPE, the risk-based approach to validation. GAMP is the best international guidance. Along with FDA, ISPE recognized the need to update in response to technological improvements. So increased importance of technology service providers, such as cloud services and software as a service. Guidance for electronic records and signatures came out in 1997, defines criteria as required by FDA to ensure that electronic records and electronic signatures are trustworthy and reliable, and electronic signatures are the equivalent of handwritten signatures. So electronic record, combination of any graph, text, anything in digital form created or done anything with using a computer. Now, Part 11 is a law, but it defines criteria for which electronic records and signatures have to be accurate, secure, authentic, trustworthy, reliable, and confidential if there is privacy data involved. And I put this chart together because it simplifies it. The requirements that you just saw on that slide, accurate, secure, authentic, and so forth, are in the left column under requirements. It's also recommended you determine in advance what is the system of record, the document of record. Where do I make a decision from, and make sure that it's made from there and no other set of books is available. Audit trail tells you who did what when. The ALCOA plus principles: attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original or true copy, accurate. So best practices for developing a CSA strategy: define the intended use, document this within specific production and quality processes. Common mistakes in adopting CSA stem usually from failure to fully embrace the underlying principles of risk-based critical thinking and a lingering CSV mindset. So that concludes the presentation.
That concludes the session for today. Thank you everyone for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your support and thanks for everybody's attention. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You as well.